let's still go back to the possible threat that we're going to expect to come out. You said inflation remains muted in January and February, but the real threats will come in March. Aside from the ones we've spoken about, which other ones should we be looking at? And will it affect not just the money market, will it affect the capital market as well? Could you just talk about that?
Yes, okay. We've mentioned at least the gas price increase, the money supply, and also the automotive policy. There's also the currency pressure also, and how that would affect the non-food basket in terms of people will be spending more naira to purchase the same item. So for instance, if I'm spending 50 naira to buy maybe a pair of shoes, now I'll be spending 100 naira because the naira has depreciated. So I'm spending more naira to purchase that amount of item. So obviously that would translate because people, the purchasers or the manufacturers want to transfer costs to the end users and all that. And also looking at, I mentioned capital outflows. Yeah, that also has been affecting a lot of countries, emerging markets and all that. And it has affected their currencies also. Nigeria is not an island on its own, obviously, despite the fact that our currency hasn't weakened that much, but we're going to see the impact. It might not be as significant as other countries like South Africa, but it's something that is going to impact our currency. And if we're losing 10 to 20 billion of our reserves, how much is left? What does the CBN have left to define the naira? So that just points to the fact that at a point in time, the naira would have to let go to find its true value.
Well, that's something we're not particularly looking forward to. But we're hoping it wouldn't come. But I just got this tweet from one of our viewers, Sunny, and he says the automotive policy is directed to producers. That is, the target effects will be enjoyed by the producers. So why the higher projection?
Why the higher projection in cost of?
Yes,
okay, of course, like you mentioned, is the short term. The increase is actually going to be short term and all that. And there's also the issue of quality. Nigeria is going to be the one that producers to start producing locally and all that. And so we're going to compare what is produced domestically with what is imported. It's now left to the consumer. Would I rather buy something that is made domestically or a product that I've been purchasing for a long time, I can trust and all that. So it's going to take a while before consumers will adjust to it. Producers also, the cost of input, because now importing cars is more expensive. They're not just going to stop importing cars or even stop importing the inputs that they would use to produce the cars in Nigeria. So all those, the cost of inputs, everything is actually what is going to stoke inflation, make inflation increase. And that's the impact.
Okay, well, Ralph, comment on this if you will. He says, I don't think money supply increase would affect inflation rate because interest rate is still high and that is lower circulation.
Well, interest rate is still high, yes, but money supply has been in the negative. Throughout 2013, money supply was negative. Now we are beginning to see an increase in money supply. So if money supply increases, it has to be liquidity in the system, and that is likely to spill into consumer prices, especially with all these policies coming up, the gas policy, the auto policy. So we are likely to see this the increase in money supply spill into consumer prices. We didn't see that in 2013 because money supply was negative, and we are seeing the increase in money supply in 2014 because of the AMCON increase in the AMCON bond repayments that happened in December, and then the increase we noticed in money supply in December.
Well, it was short of sounding like I'm repeating myself. We know that the next MPC meeting will be holding on the 17th and 18th of next month, and by the 17th, that's when the National Bureau of Statistics will release the inflation rate for February. And by your analysis, that's by financial derivatives companies' analysis, you're expecting interest rates might go up by between 400 and 500 basis points. It was one of the points that we actually saw yesterday on that slide on television. Why do you think so?
Yeah, that is because the initial impact of an increase in CRR is increasing in money market rates as the interest rates. Now, with all these factors that we have laid down, the impact of the naira depreciation, impact of the new auto policy, and the gas policy too. And the CBN already making statements that are likely to push up CRR to 100% on public deposits and to 15 or 20% on private deposit. Now, the market is like placers of money, and companies who lend out money would be waiting to look at what the MPC will come out with at the end of their meeting in March. So consumer sentiment and generally market sentiment is likely to push up rates until after the meeting, and then whatever happens at the meeting would give us we'll see what happens after the meeting. But before then, we're likely to see rates go up this much.
So that means, it's not looking too bright in the short-term outlook for the economy, at least for now.
Oh, well, yeah, looking at the market aspect, I won't use the word not too bright, but yes, in terms of increase, and we're expecting further tightening, and the impact of that, obviously, no one wants that kind of situation, but if it's a necessary condition that has to be done, then I think it should be done.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. It's been an interesting conversation. Damilola and Ralph, as always, a pleasure.
Thank you.